How are you, Coach?
Great. Very excited to be heading to New Orleans. It's the third time I've taken a team to New Orleans, and I'm hoping three's a charm in terms of winning a championship. We had a difficult one with losing to Michigan in overtime in the Fab Five, and then lost to Syracuse after facing them 3 times. So we're very excited to be going back. Our players are very pumped up. We've had a terrific couple of weeks with the Big East tournament and played 4 outstanding teams in the NCAA tournament. And we're very over-the-top excited to be going.
Rick, as young as Kentucky is, how much different are they now than they were when you played them in December?
Well, they were pretty darn good in December, and they've been pretty consistent. They've only lost 2 games the whole season. So they've improved, certainly, like you would expect a young team to improve. They've gotten better defensively. But statistically, all their numbers are great. You know, their field goal differential, 3-point differential, their rebounding margin. They do everything very well.
Rick, do you kind of try and downplay the rivalry with the guys? Do you focus on that at all? What's the mindset with that?
You know, when you're at a Final Four, we don't need to downplay anything. All 4 teams are playing for the right to win a national championship. So it doesn't matter whether it's Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, whoever you're playing. There's no such a thing as a rivalry. And with this game, we're all playing for a national championship.
Coach, this is a big game for our state. From talking to other coaches, what have you heard? Is it the enthusiasm as big as it is here for this game?
In your state?
For the state of Kentucky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For the state of Kentucky. This is a big game.
To tell you the truth, we've been on the road so long, I've had time to do my laundry. We've been in here very early in the morning. I haven't been out anywhere. I went to Molly Malone's for a Bud Light last night, had dinner with my grandchildren, and went home, and I haven't been out. So I wouldn't know about the enthusiasm, to tell you the truth. We had a nice little group meet us at the airport, and that's it. I haven't been out anywhere.
What's the biggest difference between your team now versus when you played the first time? Where are you better?
Oh, I think we're healthier. I think certainly Shane Behannon didn't play too long in that game. He's been an integral part of our team. I think Peyton Sieve is healthy. And then we've matured like they've matured.
Did you take much out of that matchup, that film from the first meeting?
Certain things you do. You know, certain things that we need to, obviously, they killed us on the glass. And that's a big concern because the way they played in the tournament, the way they have the NCAA games. No, it's a good SID. Winning an award too. But they played great against Baylor, and quite scary against Baylor actually, who has as much talent as any team in the country.
Rick, can you touch on how special this, years from now when you look just making it to Final Four, you have is your 25th reunion, you're going to have that, you're going to have all those guys there from
Not in New Orleans, in Miami.
In Miami.
I gave them the choice. They chose Miami.
But it's the 25th anniversary of that, so how special each one of those is looking back on it now at this moment.
Yeah, I guess I appreciate it the most right now because I've been through it, I know what to expect. And for me, it's almost like every time, and I don't mean to equate that with young children, but every time I see my grandchildren, you prod them constantly to try and get them to laugh and smile. So to see my players so happy right now is just the most wonderful experience. You don't have to, they're just bubbling over with enthusiasm. And you saw that Russ Smith was on the foul line at the end of the Big East tournament, and he just yelled over to the bench, "I'm finally going to win a championship." He's never won in his life. And his high school coach, Jack Curran, a legendary figure in New York City, said to him, "Russ, what are you doing? Winning and playing defense. I don't recognize you." He told me his coach called him the other day. And so to see all these guys, some of them who have not won and had this level of success is just great. So it's just, when you love your grandchildren, when you love your players, and you see them so happy, it's just very rewarding for our coaching staff.
Are there similarities in this particular team / run as that 87 Providence team?
Like I said before, they remind me of the Providence team, but not from a physical nature. Believe it or not, that Providence team was on an incredible run from an offensive standpoint. You know, we played here in Louisville. We beat a great Alabama team that was undefeated, I think, in the SEC. For that game, they shot 57%. I believe we shot 68% for the game. And then Georgetown, in the prior 2 games, I think we lost by an average of 30 points in the Big East tournament in the last game of the season. And the game here in Louisville was never a game. So that was a different team from a physical standpoint.
That's.
From a physical standpoint, but the way the type of players they are from a character standpoint, they're almost identical.
Is there a different feeling, maybe more of a joy, I don't know if that's for lack of a better term, in a run that maybe is unexpected as opposed to maybe 96 where you're supposed to get there, expected to get there, anything less is a failure?
They're both great. You know, I think the pressure is more like in 96 that, you know, nothing but a championship was going to make you happy. And obviously in 87 and now, and even in 2005, it wasn't expected per se. I mean, it was our goal, but you all didn't expect it. I was looking on ESPN, I guess, bracketology, and just only 2 people had the brackets, right? And 6.5 million, whatever it is, and only 0.1 picked Louisville. So it's, you know, I don't think many people picked. You would.
Rick, from that standpoint, you said that the pressure was greater in 96. What do you think Kentucky's feeling this week, and can you compare it to what you guys felt the week leading up to that final?
I really can't, Pat, because I don't know how they feel. It was different for us because we played in the Meadowlands. We were the last team to play in a real basketball facility. And I remember that night as it was yesterday. I stayed up all night playing gin rummy with Joe Iricane. And after I got done about 4 in the morning taking his money, I couldn't sleep. I wanted to go outside and just walk around as typical of any Final Four, but we were in the middle of a highway and you couldn't walk anywhere. And then it was a torrential downpour that night. We were sequestered away in a little hotel, and it didn't feel like a Final Four like New Orleans feels. So it was quite different. I don't know, you know, what anybody else feels, but we were basically sequestered away and we had to win it. We were focused in. We all understood it. The team understood it. It was our goals that nothing else but a championship would matter.
Was that, you were talking about the gin rummy night, was that before the semifinal or before the final?
No, that was before the final game. I couldn't sleep, and I invited him to the room. After I got done whipping his ass, I sent him on his way.
You said after the game the other day that you promised the team that if they got to a Final Four, that they would promise not to be satisfied when you got there. Why did you have that faith that they would get to the final?
Well, we said that, I just told them with 2 weeks left in the season, I said, look, we just got to get through South Florida and Syracuse. We're not going to be able to speed them up. Once we hit the turn, we're going to play differently. But we have to win the Big East tournament. I felt it would give us the confidence to propel us into the NCAA tournament. And, you know, it's just our nature to be extremely positive. So I can see their faces. I don't think I've ever seen a team celebrate a Big East championship. We've won one before, but I've never seen a team celebrate like that. So as guys on this basketball team who haven't won very much, so it was a big treat for them.
What are your early impressions of the dynamics that exist between Louisville and the UK? How have those kind of evolved over time?
When I was the Kentucky coach?
Yeah.
You know, it's 2 different entities, really. It's two rabid fan bases. You know, it's obviously in the old days, it was, you know, Louisville was in an urban school. Kentucky was different. And, you know, we had some of the greatest players like Wesley Unseld who started this ball rolling. And they had their group that started their ball rolling, and great tradition with both schools. You have 4 unbelievable college basketball traditions that are showing up at the Final Four in all 4 schools, so it'll be special. So I've been on both sides of the fence. The 8 years I was at Kentucky were great. Great runs, and 11 years I've been here, been great. So they're both different, but they both have a rabid fan base.
How would they?
Well, we're culturally different. We're 23% minority, so we're culturally a lot different. We're more of an urban school. They have a different environment, so to speak. We're sort of limited to our city. They have as many fans in our city, and it ends up with a lot of bad marriages. A lot of mixed marriages that end up bad. You know, you have a Louisville woman with a Kentucky man, and it always ends bad. We've been trying to do something about it here, it just doesn't work.
Now you tell me.
But there's 500,000 Kentucky alumni in this town, there's 1 million people, so it's different. If you go to Lexington, where, you know, if someone had a Louisville jacket on, they'd be killed by 12 o'clock at night. So we have to live amongst our competitors here.
Rick, in terms of the zone, when did it kind of morph into, you know, how you guys play it now, where you basically don't have to adjust for every different opponent? At what point?
We started doing that last year, a little bit the year before last.
And what kind of precipitated those changes?
Just trying to win. Just trying to confuse our opponents and win.
Chris, could you talk about Shane Cannon's improvement from day one since he started here, I think, at the beginning of the season? And how valuable is he going to be for you guys, considering he was in foul trouble and really didn't play much with back from the first time he played?
Well, Shane is a freshman, and he, like most freshmen, he'll make some defensive mistakes. But when we had to go man-to-man, and we had to have him make some adjustments that he's not used to, he did a great job defensively for us in switching and pick and rolls and locking people down, and then took over the game in tough offensive situations. So he's a valuable asset to our team, and he's a terrific freshman. But he is a freshman, and he did carry a big load for us, and you expect freshmen to get better as the season has moved along, and he has. And he's just scratching his potential. He's going to get so much better down the road, like Gorky.
How vital is he to Saturday?
Oh, he's crucial, but so is Gorky, and you got to get Cal Keurig playing to a higher level as well.
What about Russ Smith? He had such a big game against Kentucky, and he's having a good postseason. How's he improved throughout the season, and what do you look for from him?
You know, I'm not sure what to look for from him. You know, I put him in the game, and we all the coaches just hold hands and pray, and then we see what happens. So, you know, we never know what to expect from Russ. He gives us an awful lot, and sometimes, you know, toward the end of the game when he dribbled and went baseline and kept his dribble alive, and you thought he was going to pull Steve Nash and go to another, he just threw the ball up to the other team to make the game interesting. So you never know what you're going to get from us.
Thanks for getting Kyle going. That first game, I think he was just 0 for 4. Is it just a matter of him maybe putting the ball on the floor more? Or?
I think he just needs to find other ways to score than a jump shot. I think people take away his jump shot. He has to learn to move better without the basketball, grab some offensive rebounds, create some steals, get on the break, create more opportunities for himself.
Let's pause just a moment in the room here. Any questions from the phone lines? If you do, just state your name and affiliation. Yes, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, Jeff Arnold with Yahoo Sports. I wanted to take you back to the 1987 team, and can you just talk about what Delray Brooks meant to that team, and secondly, what his journey over the last 25 years has been like for him?
Well, that Providence team was a team with extremely low self-esteem, and Delray was part of that low self-esteem. As if you remember, he was a young man who tried out for the Olympic team. He was I don't know if they had McDonald's All-Americans back then, but he may have been a parade All-American. Chose IU, didn't work out, and when he came to me at Providence, he had an extremely low self-esteem, and he needed to be brought up emotionally, and he was. But he was amongst a good group of guys with a low self-esteem that needed to have their self-esteem raised. And he had a terrific couple of years for us, and ended up being with me a while in Kentucky, and I believe he's getting married. Last time I saw him in the last Big East game, he was about ready to get married again.
How do you go about, kind of boosting somebody's self-esteem when it is low like that?
Well, it all depends, I always look at the word motivate. Everybody has a motive for wanting to be good, be successful. And then you have to establish the motive in every person. Some people want to do it for their parents, other people want to do it for the notoriety or the exposure. Other people want to do it because they just want to reach their potential. And you got to first find the motive of what makes a person tick. And with self-esteem, you've got to earn it and deserve it before you can feel better. And Delray had to earn it. He had to get in the gym and improve his game, work on his ball handling, get him to the point where he thought he was a great shooter again. And once he accomplished that, then it was easy to raise his self-esteem.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from the phone line?
Hi, Coach. Josh Newman from the Asbury Park Press. Could you just talk about Chris Smith and how he's played this year and what he's meant to your program in getting you guys to this point?
Chris has had a very consistent 2 years for us, very steady ball player. Has a good assist-turnover ratio, makes the open shot. He does a little bit of everything, and he's been very steady for us. So he's been very consistent, been a consistent performer now for 2 years, and an integral part of why we win.
And the way he's played for you over these 2 years, has he given you what you expected when he first came in? Because obviously it's a bit of a rare situation coming from, a MAC school like that all the way up to the Big East.
I've told this story many times. He just showed up here. I don't even know how he got here. He just showed up in the gym with Samato Samuels and said he was transferring. And so I don't even know how he got here. So we're delighted that he showed up with Samato, but I wasn't sure. Apparently Steve Masiello talked to his brother in the spring, and Steve mentioned to me one time that it's possible he was thinking of transferring, and I said, his brother's going to pay for school, so I said, fine, and he didn't mention it back to me for 4 months, and then he showed up with Samato. I thought it was I thought it was a friend from Jamaica.
Anything else on the phone lines? All right, we'll go back to the room here.
Coach, you mentioned self-esteem in relation to Delray Brooks. What about the players on your team and their kind of self-esteem, their personalities and what you do?
This is one of the reasons why I compare it to Providence. This is a very quiet, mild-mannered team. You have guys like Kyle Curick and Jared Swapshire and Elijah Justice. And Gorky has a personality, but you got to get to know him a little bit. But this is a quiet team by nature. And you have the Russes and Peyton's outgoing, but it's really a quiet basketball team. Shane's outgoing, Peyton's outgoing, but the rest of the guys are pretty grounded, pretty down to earth, and they're not going to speak a whole lot unless you ask them questions.
Rick, what were the main benefits of, looking back on it now, of that trip to the Bahamas? Was it bonding? Was it seeing Russ play the two and score there?
I think a little bit of everything. I think the most important thing was bonding. We had not a good time, we had a great time there. And thank you. This brought by Vita Coco.
I like that stuff, that's pretty good.
I drink it at every press conference.
Make sure you face it the right way.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
The Bahamas.
It was a great trip, a great experience for us. And, it was a bonding trip. We had a terrific time together. We'll go back there next November.
But you found out something about Russ, didn't you, over there? Because there was some talk that he may even not be back this year, and then to see the way he played over there and he scored.
Well, I talked to his dad, who I knew when his dad was Russ's age, and I was the Knick coach at the time. And I said to his dad, look, if it doesn't work out next year, we'll try him once again. We were going to send Russ to go play with Steve Masiello, possibly at Manhattan College, and Big Russ wanted to have one more year. And we moved him to the two guard, and he was a totally different basketball player when he didn't have that. Now, he does play a little bit of one as well now, but the responsibility and the burden was taken off his back, and he performed much better.
This will be the fourth anniversary, I think, of Bill Kuypen's passing. I just was curious, what do you think he would have thought about, this matchup on Saturday?
Oh, Bill hated playing Louisville, hated it. He just hated it. Didn't like anything about Louisville. Bill, I have about 8 friends in the Lexington area, and Bill was one of my top 4. We were inseparable, great friends. Kay Woodruff was another, and about 3 or 4 other people from Lexington. We still today we're best friends. And got some gentlemen from Hazard, Kentucky, are best buddies with me. So we've maintained that friendship, and Bill, regardless of the game, would have been my best friend.
What did it mean to you to have him there? I think, was it for the Tennessee game when he came? That was just a couple weeks ago.
Well, I was shocked, and he said, now that you're at Louisville, I want to let you know I hate Tennessee more.
Did he ever tell you why he hated Louisville?
I'd rather not say.
This game coming up, it matches two of the better shot blockers in the country. They're a little bit different, maybe compare and contrast Davis and.
I think that, you know, I think Davis is he's probably he is the #1 college player and probably the #1 player picked in the draft. So it's they both have a unique shot blocking ability. Davis is a little more advanced right now, but we hope Gorky gets to that stage someday.
A number of ways to build a championship team. You get some Final Four teams. Aside from talent, is there anything you look back on and say that you had to have this for this particular thing to get to a Final Four?
Well, this was probably the most surprising. Like the 2005 team, I've always believed you have to be able to shoot the basketball to get to a Final Four. You have to be able to shoot. So this team is not the greatest shooting team, and we've gotten there. So it is probably even a bigger surprise than Providence because of that element. I believe shooting is a very, very important factor to getting to a Final Four. And we've done it a different way. So this team has great character. They work together. I think the adversity that they've been through, you know, being down in a ball game late doesn't bother this team at all. They've been through the mill from an adversity standpoint, so that they really fight hard all the time.
Is it true that the city or somebody wanted to give you guys a 4th Street Live send-off?
I just heard it on the way down here about an hour ago from Kenny for the first time. But it's just, we have been on the road so long. The kids have missed so much school. There's no time for it. You know, I just heard about it just now, and there's no time for it because they've got to go to class. We have to practice. Unless you want to have a parade 6 in the morning, when could you do it? So there's no time for us because we're trying to catch up academically. We had a nice little group show up at the airport, and they were great for us. A lot of young people were there, and that was great. So it's just, we've been on the road so long, we've just never been home.
Does it speak any to, you know, I mean, sending a message to the players, even though it may be by chance that, you know, you guys are locked in, just going forward, like this isn't the prize?
Well, it's not the intention. It is a good thing, but it's not the intention. Our intention is not to be, I asked them one thing, I said when we start the tournament, I told them, you're going to go to a Final Four before we play one game. The only commitment I want from you guys is when we get there, you're not satisfied. I told them that the first game. Now, did I know we were going to a Final Four? Of course not. But that was, they wouldn't remember me saying it if we didn't get there. So now I keep saying, remember what I said. So we want to stay locked in, obviously, because, you know, there's 4 schools right now that think they have a legitimate chance of winning a championship. All 4 of us believe that. And so we want to stay locked in, but the only reason we're not going out for academic reasons, we're trying to really catch up right now.
Coach, you mentioned the Final Four atmosphere in New Orleans. And you have a broad perspective in basketball. I think there's 50 Final Four appearances amongst these 4 teams. Yeah, I just thought how you place that in history, maybe.
Well, you know, it is great traditions of the 4 schools. I mean, Ohio State, some young people wouldn't remember the great teams they had with Jerry Lucas and Kansas and Kentucky and Louisville, the legendary figures in the game. But you know, you have 4 schools that be top 10 traditions in the history of college basketball. You know, so it's and then there were a lot of, you know, great programs that, you know, injuries play a big part in this game. You know, they really do. For North Carolina, for for a lot of people, an injury, it happened to us last year with Preston. It happened in North Carolina with their point guard. Injuries do play a big part in the game. And it's unfortunate. You have to stay healthy throughout the tournament to get there.
What's it like inside the New Orleans Superdome when the Final Four is going on, when your team walks out on the court?
Well, the one thing my team has not experienced yet is any fanfare at all. You know, we were in Portland, and we couldn't leave our hotel because we couldn't walk around. It was raining, the most, I don't mean to say it in a negative way, it was just raining and cold. And then we got to Phoenix. We stayed at a hotel that was extremely remote by desire. So we've not seen fans, we've not seen anybody. So this will be, I want to see the look on my players' faces when they get there because they don't know what to expect. It'll be quite interesting.
Does that concern you at all?
I don't know, we'll see. We're a pretty loose group. I'll let them, we're going out Wednesday, and I want them to stay out the Bourbon Street until about 3, 4, and then I'll let them. But nothing after that. Yeah. I'll let them go out.
Play for you?
Yeah, well, Kenny's gonna take them around. We have a three drink limit, right, Kenny? You all know I'm kidding. They're not going out.
Yeah, let them soak it in, right?
Yes.
You talked a couple years ago about rebranding the program. Does this team embody what you had in mind when you started that?
Very much so, very much so. You know, any brand gets a little stale if you're gonna be at a place for a long time. Then you gotta rebrand it and do different things. And, you know, we rebranded it by saying Louisville first. You know, we did that 3 years ago. It's caught on. They've added to it. They took it Louisville first, cause forever. Copycats. But anyway, we take it to a new level, and we feel that way, and we talk to our recruits that way.
Do you ever notice a difference in playing in a dome as opposed to an arena?
Very much so. Very much so.
What are they?
The depth perception. Somebody mentioned that the court is raised too. Is that true?
Yes,
It is raised.
because you'll be in the middle of the arena.
Right, so the court is raised.
The
So
lighting's gotta be different too, no?
everything's different. You're in a, but the good thing for us is we play at Syracuse. You know, so we understand what it don't. Like the noise level, a great play will happen, and it's almost like a 3-second delay. It goes through the crowd, then you hear it. You don't hear it right away like an arena. So it's different.
Take one more from Coach, and then we'll bring players.
Just
talking
Talking
about recruiting, Coach. Coach Cal said after the Baylor game that he wanted Shane in the worst way. Can you talk about that recruiting battle? I know you've spoken about it before, but really how you connected with that family and getting Shane here.
You know, with Shane, we obviously recruited everybody in the family. You know, we got very close with his uncle, very close with his grandmother, mom. You know, Shane was a young man that we targeted in the summer. I saw him play all summer long, almost every game that he played in the summertime. No different though than Peyton Seaver. So we're very excited to have him in our program. He has so room to. The good thing about like Gorky and Shane are playing terrific basketball right now, but they have so much more potential than where they are. Both guys are going to get stronger, quicker, more triple threats for Shane. More, you know, he took a big 3-point shot in the game, then made a good, what I call crab move, and maybe he called it a Kobe jump shot. So he's only going to get better and better. And we have a young man sitting out, Luke Hancock, that's, you know, will be a great step in for the guys that are leaving. So, very excited about having him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank
Thanks for being with us. We'll pause just a moment. We'll have Chris Smith here with us.